We will start the recording. Record on this computer. It'll warn you about that. We will maximize and we will transition and we will be, I don't know, good to go. Hang on. Where's the face baggers? Where's the face baggers? I muted that. That's good. Go live now. We got a 3, 2, 1 here. What's going on? Are we live? Are we on? Anybody? Bueller with 10 minutes of tennis at, what is it, 10:01? 10 minutes of tennis at 10:01. I always like the alliteration. That's always a good thing.
Sometimes we need to hear from the audience so we know that they're there.
That would be good. We start getting some more interaction, which would be a lot of fun.
Or if they engage questions while we're going. Read the question.
Yeah, that's possible. I think at this point, let's see, we just started a social media campaign online. I learned a new number, and this is terrifying. Even when you boost your post, which I'm learning what these things are, when you boost your post on Facebook, do you know what the percentage of your followers is that receives that post? Guess, like 10%, 50%, 90%. What would be your guess? I'm boosting it, meaning I'm paying FaceBag to boost my post. What do you think that number is?
5%.
Yeah. 4.963 something. It's sad. I mean, it's just not getting out there, even if you pay them. So the days of organic growth are over. We'll put it that way. But good morning. This is 10 minutes of tennis at 10:03 on Tuesday, and I wouldn't say we're on island time today. We just needed a minute or two to get ourselves set up. And we have a special guest, not including the always special Justin Yeo, world-renowned Australian tennis pro in Puerto Rico, but we also have former GPTA president and tennis pro of the year. I think he won at least once. Ben Hestley joining us to chat after our 10 minutes of tennis. Evidently at this point now at 10:13, we'll bring him in to talk about tennis having the most transferable skills. Ben just wrote an article for his own blog, and we snagged it and put it up on the Go Tennis site as one of our stories. And transferable skills is what we want to talk about today. Justin Yeo, what does that mean when we say tennis has the most transferable skills? That means transferring out to other sports, correct?
No.
So it means transferring in from other sports. Where are we going with this?
To all your American parents out there that think education. Tennis is one of the best sports they could do to continue improving their education, their attention span, their hand-eye coordination, their vision as to go in and out. There are so many skills that the sport of tennis improves their schooling. If they're getting art, then they're better at hand-eye, so they're better at drawing and painting. There's so many skills that tennis does that's beyond just sports. So the mental health of being able to handle pressure for schoolwork. I mean, I can just keep going. I'm only focusing on schoolwork right now. Testing, being able to deal with pressure again, dealing under time, making decisions, making instant decisions quickly. There you go, testing again. I mean, how many things do I have to keep listing just on education? Other sports, well, I mean, athletic base for all multi-directions. You're talking basketball, baseball, soccer, lacrosse. I mean, let's just keep going. Hockey, every sport you can think of, tennis filters into. So, I think that's what you're looking for. Is that correct?
It's a conversation we can have. So what I'm
Yeah,
looking for is a conversation. And in this case, we're talking more than just the physical skills,
correct.
where Ben's article focused on the transferable skills
Yeah,
that go, like you say, the athletic base. You start there.
yeah,
Everything starts there. When I have to talk to a baseball player, a kid
yeah.
who plays baseball on a tennis court, and I'm talking to him about tennis, I say, hey, what's your ready position? What's your fielding position? What do you do at the crack of the bat? Which is pretty much the same thing we do when you hear the ball hit the racket on the other end.
So you're talking about other sports transferring into tennis or tennis transferring into them, because that's different ball game.
It's just all transferable. The good
Okay,
thing about tennis is it also has that Andre Agassi tennis is life thing, right?
yeah, because I've based most of my career on functionality of other sports into the game. So when someone comes to learn the game, I want to know their background first, because then I get to see, start to correlate. I've got a female right now, only learned the sport for a year, but she was a great volleyball player, beach volleyball player, almost Olympic level. And we created her serve around her volleyball because we can talk about muscle memory, we can talk about brain function, we can talk about all sorts of stuff that it's automatically already there, that you don't need to reconfigure and reinvent. And why not use it to the advantage? She's hit a million balls in a trophy stance. Just get her into trophy stance and use the volleyball. It's not the most beautiful serve, but boy, is it effective. And mentally, it's so easy for her because it's something that is built around what she already knows. So if we're talking about functionality and we're talking about correlating sports, I mean, baseball's another huge one. Weight transfer, angular rotation of the upper body, linear movement of the lower body. There's so many things that we can talk about, all the different sports that correlate. Your big three all played soccer. I mean, if there was anything that was so obvious, is that those top three played soccer. Look at their feet and their dancing. The other thing that I can quickly relate to is this, we talk about pressure and we talk about tennis. The other correlation I spend a lot of time with kids is to make them understand by growing up with tennis at a high level, playing lots of tournaments, doing a lot of training, playing at a high level as well. It helps you in the executive world. When you're in the lower level of an office and you're in that little cubicle and you're like, but I want that office and I want to get up there. You know what it's like. You come in, you take the grind, you put in the extra hours, you listen to what you got to do, and you do the extra. So it's there's another correlation as to what tennis goes into multiple factors.
I think we talked about that recently, about the current push of hiring in the corporate world, of hiring former high-level athletes because of that, not just the competitive nature, but the understanding of what it takes to get to the next level, that it isn't deserved, it is earned. And that kind of thing is another transferable skill aside from just the split step in baseball, or like you say, the hip movement, the defensive movement of an American football player running backwards. All those skills transfer, but the more important maybe is the idea that we can take a young person or even an adult, but my brain always goes to the young people, of course, with Tennis for Children on my mind all the time, is making better humans and making these kids better at life.
Yep. Because again, Amazon with Bezos. I mean, he hires on character these days. Majority of interviews now are based on character questionnaires, not based on your educational points. So again, tennis, transferably, you learn all these character around not just playing, but being around coaches, being around academies, being around club. There's just all these things that can be transferred. The one that's also is probably pretty big right now, why tennis should be doing well and continue to do well, is that people have less time on their hands. So they want to get in and out an hour, which is tennis, and entirely when you go to anywhere, it's like, book in an hour, book in an hour. And if with a decent coach or a decent player, you get a good mental release as well. And because of the pandemic, most people are looking up. Most people that come to the court for me, they're just looking for that mental, emotional, release and feel good. And they do when they come off the court and out. So transferably, mental health.
Yeah, that's a fun one because it's a hot topic today of whether or not we can handle everything that life throws at us, which isn't easy. And sometimes we make that mistake of thinking, okay, well, putting the kids through something is going to be hard on them, yet it's training for when life only gets harder, because life can get harder. And what was the old phrase somebody had? It was train hard and win easy. And it was about how hard you work off the court. If you can get in and out, like you say, in and out in an hour, if I can win a 2 out of 3 set match in an hour, that's more than just a win. That saves me time. That gets me back in the gym. That means less work on my body, less strain on my body, and I can go prepare for the next day.
Yeah.
So I think that's a strong target of saying, okay, yes, tennis has transferable skills in and out. So I'm going to say there, we've got 3 different conversations that we can even have. If you're a volleyball player, hey, you know how to serve? That's going to transfer in. Baseball player, split step, those kinds of skills transfer in. From a tennis point of view, almost all of the skills transfer out. Even something as simple as tracking a ball, be able to hit it with a ball, hit a ball with a stick, right? But then also, Andre Agassi kind of made it more popular with his book being as popular as it was a few years ago, where tennis is like life. And in that case, it transfers out into real life as well. With all the battles you go through, hopefully you're a better person after that.
Yep, 100%. 100%. I mean, there's just about everything we do on the sport is transferable. There's no question. You can look at it in every angle, in every little element. I'm having a crappy day. All right, 5-1 down. What would I do? I grind it out. Don't miss a ball. Keep my eyes focused on the prize. Keep going. Keep going. And next thing you know, your day's done, and you're like, okay, I did that. I got that done, but I got it from experience.
Yeah, and is today an entire set of games? Is today just one game? Is today just one point? Yeah. How much can you zoom out in your own life? And I love zooming out because I think that allows for perspective. Was today, as we get older, just another second of my life in the tennis match? Just a single point, whether I win it or lose it. Am I better than I was yesterday? And do I know more than I did? And am I able to handle the next point or the next day even better? Justin Yo, I love it. Let's bring in Ben. We'll talk to him.
Sure. Even to the point of losing and then winning.
Losing and then winning. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, failure, learning to fail forward. I've been saying that all along.
Fail forward. I like that phrase. Unpack that unpack that for me, Justin, will you? Unpack fail forward.
Fail forward, man. It's the only way to continue to grow. If you don't fail, you never grow.
Is that like when I say that's a good miss? If I hit a ball and I did something right, even though I missed the shot, I'm learning something, I'm getting better toward the target.
Yeah, keeping good perspective.
Yeah, I like that. Ben Hesley, good morning. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Shaun? Hey, Justin.
How you doing, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on. I've been listening kind of in the green room, if you will, the virtual green room.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's great. I appreciate it. It's amazing to me, Shaun, how you can take like one little thought that someone has and stretch it to a podcast, a Zoom live call, an article. Like, I mean, you're taking this idea of transferability pretty far, which is cool.
Oh, I can transfer anything you guys say into content for Go Tennis and the podcast. That's good. Content helps. And so Justin has taken what you started us off with, Ben, which is the transferable skills physically, the physical transferable skills in your article where you started us off, and Justin has taken us a step further. So Ben, you're not only a tennis coach, but you're also a certified baseball coach and coach trainer. So not only USTA coach trainer, they're the ones that.
Yeah, formerly, yeah, I was with USTA for a while, and I'm working with USPTA. But I've done it all. I've done the big three. I've done USTA coach development. I've done PTR. I was a clinician for years, and now I'm working with USPTA as one of their coach developers.
Okay, so in that case, you know the transferable skills from becoming a player to becoming a coach, and then from becoming a coach to becoming a good coach. And I think that might be even potentially another conversation about transferable skills. But I wanted you and Justin to talk about some of the physical skills. Justin's well-versed in the physicality of the body, and even used an example in the first 10 minutes about the transferable movement of a baseball player. Ben, you were listening. What's going on there? How does that baseball, maybe even the swing, or beyond my obvious, be able to view the kid, the 7-year-old that can do a split step, that can play the infield in baseball? But you guys can talk deeper into the physicality of physically hitting a ball. Ben, can you start us there?
Yeah. So like, let's look at like what Justin was talking about, like the serve with his volleyball student. Same with baseball players. And in baseball, we're super concerned about arm care and overuse and, the rise of Tommy John surgery for, kids. I mean, it's crazy that's one thing if you're a major league player and this is your profession, you're getting paid millions of dollars. But when you start doing elbow and shoulder surgeries on 12-year-olds, that's pretty alarming. And tennis, not to say there's not injuries in tennis, but they are much more minimal than if you are throwing a baseball. And you're throwing a 5-ounce baseball 80, 100 times a day, a game in a 2-hour segment. That takes a lot of stress on your body. In tennis, you can get the same effect with the overhand serve, but because of the racket and the strings, the ball's a lot lighter. It's the same kind of motion like Justin was talking about with the volleyball, but it's a lot less strain on your arm. Right. And so, I mean, that's not to say if you went out and hit 1,000 kick serves that you wouldn't have some rotator cuff issues, but in tennis, you mostly don't do that either, right? You serve 1 or 2 times, you play out a point. I mean, there's several seconds between serves. And so I think that's a great start, is that the serve is a great way to practice and get skilled in an overhand motion, but with a lot less strain on your body.
Justin?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because probably Ben and I could talk for the next 40 minutes about the biomechanics. Most shoulders tend to go because they're not using their obliques or doing any kind of training properly. But kids these days, it's not easy to get them out there and learn all these things. But as far as, it's interesting you bring up the kick serve. I've had a lot of people saying, yeah, I got to look at kick serve. And I'm like, yeah, well, if you got to learn to hit a first serve first before you worry about a bloody kick serve. Because when they're getting like 40% or 30% first serves, or they can't even get a good flat first serve, like with pace, I'm like, let's develop that first, and then we'll worry about the second. Because if you ask any tennis pro in the world if they'd want a big first serve versus a kick serve, they'll pick the big first serve. The kick serve comes eventually, especially as the shoulder develops, and that's probably a really good point Ben's brought up. Knowing too, like how the shoulder develops, what age can they take on more, how they understand the internal rotation of the shoulder and external rotation of the shoulder. I saw a great clip just on the weekend of Alcaraz warming up with his bands. This just
Good stuff.
We grew up, we didn't have bands. We just, I used to grab 2 rackets and just warm my arm up that way and try to stay elastic. But that can also hurt a shoulder that's already quite, under stress and tension. Look, I use baseball a lot for tennis, tons, just for the reason that the lower body moves on a linear motion an upper body was and an angular motion. And I use that a ton for people to understand it, especially Americans. They see a baseball, so they learn that. And people get a little freaked out when I talk about internal rotation of the stomach and trunk rotation, but eventually they get it, and it helps because it helps develop something away from hurting the shoulder. So that's all I can add to that. Well, we've lost you.
Sorry. No, I like to mute myself and then start talking and then go, oh crap. That was a great transition. I'm sorry you guys missed it. But Ben, we go from baseball to tennis, and then from tennis can go back out to baseball in the same way, right? Then it's no different from saying, okay, I split step in tennis. You're going to tell the same kids, hey, tennis kids, tennis player at second base, give me a split step when I hit the ball. Is it the same transfer out in the same way?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same way. With tennis, the difference, if you compare batting in baseball to playing the game of tennis, let's look at the return of serve, right? No matter what you give me, as long as that ball's in the box, I got to hit it. I got to figure out, I can't take a ball. I didn't like that one. Serve me another one, like in baseball is super hard to hit, right? In baseball, you got a round bat, small round ball, it's coming pretty fast. You got split second decision to make. So it is the most difficult skill, right? Hitting a moving baseball. Okay. But you transfer that to tennis. In baseball, essentially I could, 3 strikes and you're out, 4 balls and you walk, right? So essentially I can take 5 pitches before I have to swing them. And there's kids that do that. They get it 3-2 counts all the time. Okay. We saw it last night. Austin Riley banged a go-ahead homer last night on a 3-2 count, which was amazing. But he let that pitcher go. That was the 6th pitch. I think the 6th pitch. He might have fouled a couple off before that. I can't remember. But at least it was at minimal the 6th pitch that he saw. So imagine you're in the deuce court, Justin serving to you. And can I let 6 balls go by and go, or 5 balls? Okay, the 6th one, I'll hit the 6th one. That looked pretty good. No, whatever ball lands in the box, you got to hit it.
It's usually about the 7th one that I'm actually able to get a racket.
And the crazy thing I always tell parents about with tennis is, let's add to that. And because Justin talked a lot about the mental side and the pressure that tennis really helps with. In baseball, if I swing at that 6th pitch and miss it, I'm a little irritated. I'm a little ticked off. I didn't help my team out. I didn't get on base. That's really upsetting for a kid. But I go back to the dugout, and after a few tears, I'm good again and chat with my buddies. If I'm playing tennis and Justin aces me on the deuce court, he's up 15-love, and guess what? I got to walk the other side and have him hit me at me again. And we got to do that over and over and over. And if we're playing a 2-out 3-set match, at minimal, I got to do that. What? 20, if I serve half the games, Justin serves half the games, it takes a minimum of 48 points to win a tennis match. So 20, let's just say, make the math simple. He's serving to me 20. So 24 times minimal, I have to take Justin's serve. That's really tough.
Yep.
It's about the time you wish you were playing me instead of playing Justin. When can I get to the next pitcher? I need that relief pitcher that isn't quite as good as the other guy.
All right, so let's segue into that, because I was thinking about that this morning as we were kind of prepping for the call. Because this weekend, I coach a baseball team, and we've got a big tournament coming up this weekend. We're going to Pigeon Forge. And I'm sitting there just kind of charting through, thinking, how am I going to organize my pitchers for this weekend? And they're a 12-year-old team. And I'm thinking, it kind of dawned on me. I was like, in pitching, if you're not pitching well, you get taken out, right? In tennis, you don't get taken out. There's no substitutes in tennis. There's no relief pitchers in tennis. So if I'm on the mound, in a baseball game, and I throw 8 balls in a row, chances are coach is going to come over and, at minimal, talk to me. Probably going to go, hey, dude, today ain't your day, and let's let somebody else have a turn. Okay. If I double fault 4 points in a row, right? I pitch 8 balls in a row in tennis. I serve 4 balls out in a row in tennis, or 8 balls out. Sorry. So I double fault 4 times, double fault the game away. There's no relief server. I got to hand the balls to you, and then minutes later, got to go do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and it's,
And you
and I
have
always
to
say that
find,
tennis it never stops. It's constant.
yeah. And you have to find that serve for the next one, or you're getting pretty embarrassed on another four
Yeah.
doubles.
The ability to self-correct, I think, is one of the things. We recently talked to Dave Matthews, my high school academy coach, and he talks about the getting away from the on-court coaching. He's an old school type of guy that says, all right, well, in tennis, you've got to figure it out. It's like boxing. It's mano y mano, even, I guess, boxing in between rounds. You got a coach telling you, throw the jab more, or whatever boxing coaches do. I don't have any skills there. But from a tennis point of view, you got to figure it out. You double fault your game away. You sit down, you cry a little bit into your towel, and you get back up and you figure it out. And I think that's a hireable skill. I think that's the reason, if I'm going to hire somebody, maybe I want a former tennis player as opposed to a former baseball player. Maybe baseball is a little too close to home there, Ben. Maybe I want a former tennis player to hire rather than a former soccer player, a guy who can win a game and be a great soccer player, even though he never scores and he's just one of 11 guys and he's really not all that good. From a tennis point of view, you have that problem-solving ability and you have no choice. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you have to. I think it makes you more versatile. I mean, and as a tennis player, you got to play multiple roles, right? You have to be the goalie in soccer, right? I mean, we use that term. We come to the net a lot. Be a goalie, just be a wall, be a goalie, just block everything. Okay, I got to be a goalie. Okay, I got to serve. I got to be a pitcher. Okay, I've got to, if I'm playing doubles, I got to set my partner up if I'm serving and returning. So I'd be kind of a point guard. Let's use basketball, for example. Set my partner up. And it's volleyball, same thing, right? In fact, when I coach doubles, I call it setter and spiker, right? The back player is a setter. You're supposed to set the point up. The front player is a spiker. Your job is to poach and put the ball away, just simply put. So I think you have to play multiple roles. We already talked about hitting. We talked about pitching. Soccer, I got to play defense, but then I could also be like a striker or forward. I play offense, right, and try to score. So tennis allows you to play all the positions, play everything, right?
Yeah.
I think that's that life out, right, Justin? It's that if I'm the tennis guy and I'm the coach and I'm helping somebody and I've got that, what I would call a transferable skill, it's not just the serve that connects to another sport. It's the problem solving ability. It's the wearing many hats.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, as Ben is pointing it out, it's we fulfill all those other sports and all those different roles, and helping. I just think listening to Ben right now, it's just wonderful. Like if a kid or a parent or whatever, starts to figure out what it is about the sport, they're learning all these other avenues, all because of one sport.
So in that case, tennis is just better. Tennis is the sport. If I give the sales pitch as a coach and say, okay, if I'm a parent and I've got a 1-year-old son, which I do, so that works. What's the main sport that I would wish for him, that I would wish on my child? Where we say, oh, maybe American football is too brutal. Maybe soccer takes a certain personality. Is he going to be the type, part of a team? Does he want a team sport? Does he want an individual sport? Maybe golf's too expensive for my family to train. But tennis, especially in Georgia, parts of Puerto Rico, tennis is free. You just go find a tennis court and go play tennis in many areas. That's not always true. But in that case, would your children all play tennis, right? Is there a reason for that?
Well, my kids did something before they played tennis. They learned to catch, learned to play catch. And I started both my kids with stuffed animals and tossing and catching the, teddy bear back and forth, whatever it is. Because let's not forget, tennis is a great sport. The skills you learn through playing tennis will transfer out to other sports. It's a great cross trainer. If you play volleyball, you play club soccer, you play travel baseball, you want to pick up a second sport, pick up tennis. A lot of athletic skills learned through tennis, a lot of mental skills learned through tennis. And like you said, Shaun, you can play on your own, right? So you don't need a lot of people to play. But let's not forget, tennis is a hard sport to play. Rallying a tennis ball is very challenging. Mm-hmm. The prerequisite to that is playing catch. If you can't catch a teddy bear that I toss to you from 5 feet away, How are you going to hit a moving tennis ball that's bouncing off the ground with a racket?
Yeah.
We have those parents questioning, why isn't my kid hitting? Why isn't he getting better? Why isn't he hitting topspin? Like, because you don't play catch with him in the evenings.
Yeah. And the challenge I've always found with youth parents in tennis is that, there are not many people that can come out, even if you're an athlete, start playing tennis and then go be on an alpha team or play a tournament, right? Whereas other sports, baseball, we have t-ball, we have coach pitch. Soccer is, like you meant, is kind of like it doesn't. I mean, I don't want to offend soccer people. Soccer has its challenges, and it's a challenging game to be really good at, but it's not a challenging game to get started. That's why you can start soccer at 3 years old. You can't do tennis at 3. I mean, you can take tennis lessons, but you can't go play a tennis match at 3 years old. Same with soccer. Maybe basketball. You don't really need to be that skilled. And Shaun, you and I have talked about this. We'll go watch a 7-year-old or 6-year-old soccer match, and you'll see the soccer kid. You'll see a couple kids that are super into it, and other kids are just kind of standing around, right? Where in tennis, like you're in the action, right? So if you're not any good at it, it's pretty obvious. I mean, you can be you could be on a club soccer team and just play defense, and you just kick the ball away when it comes to you. And that's it. And then the rest of the time, just hanging out.
And I think that's the difference. That is one of the differences. And you're right. Soccer has the earlier learning curve. I can involve myself in soccer sooner. It's a little easier to pick up.
Right.
Probably why it's the most popular sport in the world, especially with children, because they can kick a ball around. You hand them all tennis rackets, and tennis doesn't automatically form.
Right. And the point I was trying to make is you can sign your kid up for a soccer league, right? Like you just go, hey, Johnny's going to play soccer. And there's 1,000 associations around the country that just sign up for a league. You sign up for a league and you go play, sign up for t-ball. He's never played before. No worries. They just hit the ball off the tee. I'm going to run over to Target, get him a glove. And we got tryouts this afternoon. He's on a team, and tennis has tried to challenge that, working with USTA and stuff. They've tried to challenge, like, how can we be more team oriented and team, like, just tennis is, let's celebrate what it is. It's an individual sport. It's very challenging to play, but that's a good thing. And that's going to help our kids be better at whatever else they want to do, whether it's another sport, whether it's in the classroom, like you mentioned, Justin, better focus in the classroom. And then further on down the road, when they're adults, they're more prepared for life and work life, whatever that is.
Justin, I think that's where you would want to go with it. Is we're making better people. We're making the people better beyond just hitting the ball with a stick.
Yeah, I mean, what Mike Burrell's done in the last probably decade or so is pretty impressive. How he's got kids playing sooner than just standing hitting balls, and so we're seeing more kids starting to play with the mini courts and the mini balls and the mini rackets. That's been a big plus for our game. Because, like Ben said, if you went in the 1% that could coordinate a normal racket to a regular ball and get it over the net at a little height, you weren't into the sport at all. You can't just stand there, and so it is the mini stuff has really helped, but it is I 36 years of coaching tennis, and everyone's always asking me about tennis. And I said, look, you won't find a more complex sport. You just won't. You can argue with me all day long. Give me all the little ticks, and I can give you ticks that will tenfold over any other sport. It is the most complex sport. It is, especially when you go to play, a level, and then you play up a level, and then you've got to play another level. The level doesn't stop. I mean, even Djokovic right now, he's competing against all those young hitters coming up right now. So what do you think he has to do? He still has to hit the court, grind, change it up, look at the stats, figure out this loop, figure out that shot, figure out where to put this. Rafael Nadal. The guy goes from 8 foot, 9 foot behind the baseline to 2 feet behind the baseline. It's unbelievable. These guys are, it's just a complex sport. And I don't want to get off the topic, but the complexity of it is what really helps with transferring to a lot of things. I guess that's where I'm getting to.
And that's perfect. Just like Ben would say with the wearing different hats. And
Yeah,
I would suggest even the scoring system itself with its complexities is the most complex, the most difficult to learn. And as coaches, we know trying to teach a 7-year-old how to keep score, it's not just kick a ball in the goal and go and you're up 1-0. It's not that simple, but it also is transferable out. Like we even talked earlier of saying, okay, is today a second of my life? Is today a full game? Is it just a point? What is today when I zoom out? And how can I take that into tomorrow? Ben, you got anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I would relate. We talk about, I mean, here we are in the baseball playoffs. It's an exciting time if you're a Braves fan or whoever fan you are, and we have series, right? And tennis is its own series, I mean, it's a 2 out of 3 series, or if you're playing if it's a grand slam for the men, it's 3 out of 5 series, I mean, what other sport, you come out and let's say I mean, we see this in tennis all the time, right? Some guy comes out and wins the first set like 6-0. You're like, man, that was a beatdown. But guess what? Now the score is 0-0. Yeah, you have one set on me, but it's 0-0 now. I win the second set. And and then we got now we're dead even. Third set. I mean, I've played many matches in my career where I actually won the match, but I won less games than the other guy. I mean, how would a baseball fan feel about that? I mean, you technically beat me like 15-8, 15-9. But somehow I managed to win a set 6-1 and get into a tiebreaker, and I think, and I've had, when I coach a lot of team tennis and USTA junior team tennis counts games won. And so does Alta. It counts games won. I can remember many times, and what USTA would play 2 out of 3 sets. So it feels like a regular tennis match, but you're counting the games won, right? And I'd have kids come off the court crying because they lost the match, right? They lost in 3 sets. But I'm like, hey, wait. Actually, you actually won. You actually won more games than the other team. And there were many matches where we played 5 lines, and we had matches where we won more games than the other kids, but than the other team. So we won the match because they counted games won, but we actually lost the match. We lost more matches.
That makes me think the
weird concept.
The UTR algorithm actually includes the scoring very specifically because that is how I can play a player that's 2 points less than 2 points, whatever, the maximum 2 points below me. And I've got to nuke that guy. I have got to beat him 0-0, 1-1, because that does help my rating, which is a common misconception of UTR. It does help. I've got to get that done. And it would be interesting, in my opinion. I think baseball would be more fun if you had to win 5 of 9. You had to win 5 out of 9 innings, or hockey, where you got to win 2 out of 3 periods, where it changes the momentum. And you know what? This set's over. I'm going to start working on my drop shots because I'm going to need that next set. And it changes how we even play each point separately. In the same way in baseball, maybe I don't need a home run right now. Maybe I just need to get on base. And there's a way to say, okay, what do I need to do now that isn't just kick the ball in the goal?
Yeah, I mean, right now the Braves are technically down to the Phillies 8-5, if you wanted to count the runs. But guess what? Series is 1-1.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that series concept. That works well. Justin, what else you got?
Yeah, I mean, that's an awesome way to look at it. I mean, you can look at the stats these days that they provide after the tennis matches. It's fantastic looking through them all. And you see a guy who won in straight sets, but he won 1 point more than the other guy. And I tell the kids that all the time, like, this game is about ratios. And if you get used to the ratios, you get stronger, you get more belief. You focus on things that keep going. Because when you look at those statistics, and a guy wins in straight sets and he wins 1 more point than the other guy, it's like, okay, and that's an incredible odds. Like it is amazing to watch the statistics and the series, as Ben said. And for kids, I think that's a really good way to keep a perspective for them. Is you got to keep going. You got to look at things differently. You know, and that's, again, you talk about transferable, you know, helps us keep perspective of everything we do.
Makes me think of Vin Diesel in one of the Fast and the Furious movies where he throws his arms up. He says, doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile, winning is winning. And whether I won more points or scored less goals on aggregate, but somehow I win because 2 out of 3 soccer matches, most sports are trying to figure out how to do that where it isn't just a 1-to-1 ratio of points with the series. Ben, I appreciate you bringing that up because that makes a lot of sense. But then the transferable concept of saying, I may have lost today, but tomorrow's another day. Guys, I'm out of time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And Ben, thanks for joining us. Justin, as always.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah.
Good to
Thanks,
see you,
guys.
Ben.
See ya. Good to see ya.